You know who else sounds like Kermit the Frog?
These nuts.
Both of them. Yeah. Jordan Peterson.
Shout out to our boy.
Shout out. That motherfucker sounds just like Kermit. I love it. It's great because I don't feel so stupid because I fucking sound like
you sound like Jordan Peterson, bro. That's not so bad after
that's
all.
what I'm trying to tell myself. All right. Now we get our fucking our little fucking display area back there of some Cast Brew coffee. Shout out to Tim Cast and
AO.
Ian Crossland's Graphene Dream. We got some Rise with Roberto Jr., Whole Bean, and the Prime Time with Alex Stein. That is a double caffeine blend, which is why that bag is open.
And that's why it's not that good.
Almost empty. What are you talking about? It's fucking fantastic. Nobody said it wasn't that good.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah.
I had heard differently.
Yeah. I might be a little bit of a coffee snob, but I need to try the Graphene Dream, and it just that one's a little bit strong. It's a little bit like
is it?
If for
I
me,
thought it was supposed to be like lowest.
No, the Prime Time with Alex. The Prime Time with Alex Stein.
That makes sense.
Prime Time grind.
Look at Alex Stein.
It is. It's extreme. It's a very fucking.
He's a high energy individual.
It's a fucking Alex Stein coffee.
High energy individual. That's what you get.
Yeah, it's a fucking high energy coffee
for sure.
Let's see. Is that level better? Sound better? Or you want more? You want more like this?
I love it like that.
I like it like that. All right. All right, well, here we are back again. Holding our breath again. Don't hold your breath, bro.
Don't do it. I think you'll die.
I think I did. Been there, done that. I don't know where to put my
back at it again, bitches.
Hell yeah. So, what were we talking about before?
Who you voting for?
Go back and listen to the next thing. I'm fucking voting for Kamala Harris.
Ayo.
Hell yeah.
Prostitutes need love too.
Prostitutes need love too. I'm a big Cardi B fan, so it's like I might as well have one in charge of the country.
You know, it's worth a shot.
Biden just announced that he stepped down, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I got the text message from our boy Will there, but I did not actually.
I didn't fact check it.
I didn't fact check it. I just saw his standard meme of Joe Rogan like this checking his phone. Oh shit!
I know, right? First, it's like, is Joe Rogan texting me right now?
Really? Yeah. Joe, chill, man. Come on.
I mean, I guess our boy Will is a little too lazy just to
make a new meme.
Or send us the text directly, right? He has to do it on his notifications on his cover screen.
Yeah, like send the link to oh, that's what it is. That's his
yeah, he's just sending it over. It's lazy. Straight lazy, man. Yeah. Boom, screenshot. Let me send it.
Okay, now I understand.
That's why I look at Joe Rogan every time news breaks.
Yeah.
It's good. He means well.
He does. Will means well.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah,
that was awesome, man.
This is the way.
There it is. Who
are you voting for?
I wanted to vote for Biden, but that's fucking out the window. So I'm gonna go with the next best option.
Yeah.
All right.
Which
I'm still hoping that Hillary's gonna jump into this.
High school janitor.
I'm really hoping that Hillary jumps into it, and then we get a little cat fight. All right, between Hillary and Kamala. May the best thing win. Cage match style.
Yeah, thing tang thong. Them thing thang is finna have a thong off.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think this is a little misdirection.
I thought it was gonna be Hillary. Like from the get go,
don't fall for this. Don't fall for this new breaking information. You know how it goes. No,
I think even a year ago, I was like, this fucking guy is falling apart.
You got to have a rematch.
Like Rogan, Joe Biden, is completely like he's been falling apart forever.
But yeah,
It's like he wasn't even 100% in the 2020 debates and whatever. So he was like, 2 years in, shit, what, January, like 6 months in, Russia's invading Ukraine.
yep.
So we like all looked at each other and were like, oh, big surprise. Like, I think at that time I was still in Lima. I don't think Brandy had even, like, they hadn't even opened up flights to leave Peru yet. And so we were just hanging out. We'd go to friends' houses and go get in the pool and just drink and like just having a good time. So I'm sure when we saw that news, we were just like, go figure.
Sucks for
Like,
Ukraine.
called that. Like, we knew it was like, as soon as he gets in office, by whatever manner that they fucking got him into office,
We know how they got him into office.
it was like, yeah, well, we know how that worked, and now we know what's going to happen next, which is not going to be anything good for the world.
No.
And so, when is the next war going to start? Because there have been warmongers for shit. These are this is the most crazy thing for me, going back to being, in high school and watching George H.W. Bush come on the screen while I was watching David Letterman and say, like, this aggression will not stand, like, we're going to go into start the Operation Desert Storm. Operation Desert Shield was the first one, right? Operation Desert Shield, and then Operation Desert Storm, and then we're in Kuwait, and now we're in Iraq, and then,
Afghanistan.
Next thing you know, we're in Afghanistan, and we're Taliban's blowing shit up in the United States, and like there's just all kinds of shit starts going downhill because it was, and has been. I mean, I guess Vietnam ended, and then the Cold War. Once the Cold War ended, they were like, well, this sucks. We're going to have to figure out how to start this back up again. So we had that good time after the Cold War, between Reagan and Bush one. And Bush one comes in and goes, let's start some wars up again. And the ironic part for me looking at it now is that, George Herbert Walker, being as Republican as they come, right, was the warmonger. And now, when I grew up during the time when it was like the other side, the Democrats were all like the peace, love, and right, like, stop the war, get out of the war. We don't want to be in there just fighting over oil, and like this is all about money and like greed and
power,
and corporate interests and power, and the people who were supposed to be against that were the people who put fucking Obama bin Laden in office. Obama, Hussein, Barack Obama. Fuck that. That guy was a warmonger just like the rest of them. Just like the rest of them. And, maybe a better orator. Like,
but is it really the president of the United States of America that gets us into these wars, or is it from the other powers that be?
I think the president is the one who has the ability to stop it, but is not
right.
But is not. So this is the meek, right? This is like the meek are those who carry swords and know how to use them, but choose not to.
Right.
Well, the president's the one who chooses not to. The
right.
president's the one who says,
right.
hey, listen, guys, I know you want to go in there and just like take all this oil, or like go get all these people fighting each other and like rile them all up against each other so you can go sell a bunch of guns and bombs and more petroleum products to fuel all the tanks and the planes and stuff, and have a big war over there, and probably also part of it decrease the population because you're probably eugenicists as well. So we know you want to do that, and we understand that that's your business, and we will support that. It's necessary to have defense, right? Just like I was saying before, it's like you have to have a house to protect yourself. You have to have shelter. You have to have protection from the elements, and you have to be able to stand up and defend. You have to have a sword, and you have to know how to fucking use it and be able to use it. But you don't want to. You don't want to have to do that.
Right.
There's better ways to do stuff. And that's the thing right now, is that that's so crazy to me is that all these people who are like supposed to be like hippies, they're supposed to be like peace, love, and happiness. These people are wearing fucking rainbows and talking about trans rights. And they're the ones that are supporting people going to blow kids up. Like, it's insane.
But isn't that all part of the demoralization and destabilizing
That's
the
a
country and
demoralization.
such? So where does that come from?
Confusing.
Where is that coming from? Because ultimately, I mean, you can't not talk about the deep state, the managerial class, whatever you want to call them, when talking about the president, wars, things like that, right? So is it just that there hasn't been any presidents that goes against your donors and basically your bureaucrats and such?
As soon as they stand up to them,
right? But
as soon as the president stands up to them, like John F. Kennedy stood up to them, they're gonna, slide that file folder across the desk with a picture of Kennedy that says, "Hey, you might want to go ahead and sign that."
And just for the record, these pictures aren't necessarily true.
No.
These are straight up.
I don't even know what pictures you're talking about.
Right. Well, the picture that you just spoke of.
I'm not talking
right
about
when you
pictures.
slide over.
I said something about a file.
No.
Yeah, I said
you said take a look at this picture here.
Take a look at this.
And
take a look at this file. Okay. Take a look at this information. Just take a look at. I'm just going to write the name JFK, 3 letters on a piece of paper, and slide it across the table. What does that mean?
What makes JFK go along with it?
I don't know.
Because maybe it was a picture, right? Or maybe it was some information. All I'm saying is pictures, informations.
I don't know why that would insinuate any intimidating.
Well, because there was a sway there, right? There was a change. There was a change happening, and change happens when there's some type of what's the word I'm looking for?
Like when there's some sort of like impetus, right? Like some sort of force that moves, a first moving force.
No.
That's when change happens.
Right. But when someone changes their mind. So
someone changes their mind because
you're playing this game right now with me.
But that's
I'm like, well, I was trying to go off of what you were saying.
Yeah.
But now you just totally changed what you were saying. In a way.
What did I change?
Because you were saying how did the CIA get JFK to change his mind by sliding over this file? And I'm like, okay,
the CIA didn't get
what are the contents of this file?
The CIA did not.
He had a decision, and the CIA said, "Here's this file.
No,
you might want to change your position on this."
No, they didn't.
Oh, then what were you saying? I must have totally not understood what you were saying.
To JFK, they didn't.
What's up with this file here? Please explain. Unpack that for me. Because apparently I had it all wrong.
Okay, so what was your original question? Because I was answering your original question. Why do people not?
Right. Yeah. So we were talking about the presidents, right? And we were talking.
Your question was, why do people not stand up to the deep state?
No, I was talking about the president.
Why?
So you were saying the president can stop this. He was the one that's saying no. And basically what I'm saying is, okay, is Obama? Is he a true warmonger himself? Is he the type of person that he wants war, whether it be for the money, for the power, or whatever? Does he want that? Or is he just following along and going with what the powers that be want?
I don't.
And then you turn to JFK. JFK was going to not be that stand up. Did, and then that's when this file came into play.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like I didn't do a very good job of letting you know what I was talking
clearly
about, right? Okay. So what was your original question?
So we were talking about the presidents, right? And we were talking about war and how they're warmongers. They just want the war. And then we were talking about it, and you said the president has the authority to stop these wars.
I think you were talking about the deep state.
Right.
I think
Right.
you were
It ties
talking
into it
about
because we were saying
a
Obama, they're
bureaucracy or
all
a deep
these
state, right?
presidents, they were all warmongers, right? Now, is it in their heart that they want to go to war, or is it these powers that we know that be are telling them to do these things? So basically, the whole saying that the president doesn't really run this country.
Yeah.
Right. So now we decide. Now, what do you think? Is like Obama just a warmongering type person, or is he just following orders
I think
from
it
whomever?
I think it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think that that I don't think that Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, I don't think that necessarily he's like a malicious person who's running around out there trying to find babies to rip their hearts out or
No,
something
no,
like
no.
that.
Just go to
Right?
war. We're not talking about like
Whatever.
really crazy things.
Whatever. I don't think he's out there.
There's a difference between murdering babies like that and countries of war.
I don't think that he's just out there looking for on his own
It's not him.
a war. I think what he's looking for is power.
He is, or
money.
the deep state.
He personally is. I think he is a sociopath
Okay.
who wants power. He wants to dominate. He wants to tell people what to believe. He wants to indoctrinate, and he wants to control and manipulate people. I think he wants to do that. He likes to do that. He gets off and is happy when he controls and manipulates people. And I think that he
And you're saying that's what war is?
no, I think that he's doing that like as the war comes into it because he's working for people who offer him all those things
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for keep the war going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not working for those people. He's not working for like a dude over here. He's working for the idea that war will continue to feed my opportunity to put money in
Right.
my pocket, to feed my network of nepotism, right? And just put my own people in positions of power. And for me to be able to convince people to go to war, I have to control, I have to manipulate, I have
Sure.
to make them into victims, and I have to create all of this this strife and all this chaos in the country in order for me to be able to have the excuse to go to war, right? Like,
Right.
oh, now we have to do this because we created all these crises. Oh, now we have to give all this money away because, but I don't think that any of it's that. I don't like what I really hate about the right wing. I really fucking hate about the right wing and the conspiracy theories and all this stuff that's like, oh, it's all about the the power hungry people that are just out there, right? Like all that shit that I just said. It's not really that Obama is a power hungry manipulating person, right? Like he's not he's just doing what he thinks is the right thing to do, and he thinks that it's okay and even beneficial to lie, to manipulate, to steal, to put his own people in positions of power, to do all those things because he thinks that's the way to create some righteousness in the world. Right?
Really?
He somehow, yes, I think he actually believes
That's a
that
sociopath, right?
that's a sociopath. Yeah. So he thinks that it's okay to do all that stuff because he thinks that, it's like, and it's a very easy thing to fall into. It's like someone who's just vengeful. It's like someone who's just like, I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm going to go and fuck this person over. Right. Instead of like, well, why don't you just go get what you want? Like, why don't you just go on about your day and like learn from it and maybe like not interact with people like that, or maybe I don't know, maybe help them learn something, even if you're going to take like a super, benevolent kind of path to it. But I think Obama literally, he lies, he manipulates, he, he backs up, things that he knows are not true. He backs up the media machines and uses all these mechanisms to create that control because he thinks that it's going to create some good in the world. I think a lot of the leftists think that. I think that they're just lost. They just
So
don't.
does the right think that way as well?
I think some of the right goes to the extreme where they just say it's like this person is over there in the corner like conniving and like, oh, I'm gonna go and create all this stuff, like I'm gonna go, you know instigate a war between Russia and Ukraine. Like, yeah, there's people doing that.
Yeah.
There's some people doing that, but Joe Biden's not doing that. Joe Biden's maybe a puppet for somebody who's doing that, right? Hunter is definitely a puppet for
Yeah.
people who are doing that. But I don't think that I don't I don't think most of the people out there are out there like, you know, conspiring and trying to like go to Epstein Island and collect fucking adrenochrome. Like I think a lot of that stuff is just crazy talk, like flatter stuff. It's just poison in the well. It's just stuff to make people sound crazy.
Right.
And that's why I really don't like a lot of the far right stuff that's like the Q stuff and all that stuff. I'm like, bro, y'all need to just step down and take a look at the natural wave pattern of communities and societies. Like that's why I like the fourth turning. That's why I really like that PBD episode with Neil Howe, right? Um, for the author of this book, The Fourth Turning, right? So he just had Neil Howe on the podcast last week, and this book is spot on because this is just talking about like every 20 years or so, we have a cycle and we have a generation that's born and acts a certain way. And then they go on to the next cycle and that generation is affected by the environment they're in and they get to, act a certain way. And then you get to the next cycle and it just goes in waves. And it's not like someone sitting here trying to like, I'm going to take over the world. Like Klaus Schwab is not Dr. Evil. It's not that he's not evil, like he is evil, but he's also a product of his environment. So I think he's also like, it's more important to be aware of the wave function and be aware of the patterns that are coming than it is to like figure out who done it and like point your finger at a specific person and be like, if we just take that person out of the equation, then everything will be all hunky dory. Like that doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's just, it's just a, it's just a season of life. It's just a pattern. It's a season of life. Like we're going into the winter. We're going to, this is the perfect example too. Trump's going to get elected. Trump's going to get elected in November. But whether he gets elected or not doesn't matter because this economy, the global economy, is going to crash. It's going to crash like fucking nobody's ever seen it before. And now, are they maybe trying to hold it up for a little while so they can point the finger at Donald Trump and blame him for it? Yeah, for sure. Because they understand that it's a wave function and that they can like hold off that wave a little bit more, a couple more months, then they can actually play the game of politics where they're like pointing at each other and making this what do you call that? Like the zero sum game of social hierarchy, and they can just point at each other and blame and name call and all that kind of shit. And it feeds that. But the doesn't matter who the hell's in office. The wave is the wave. It's time. It's been time for a while.
So just let it crash.
It's going to crash. Like if you're trying to surf and catch a wave, what are you going to do? Like try to stop the wave from crashing?
So what's the point in voting?
I mean, the point in voting is
it's just going to happen regardless, right?
No, the point in voting is that like you're going to be able to recuperate maybe in a better way, or you have someone who represents what you think is a better solution, even though that solution is not going to
mean anything.
Not tomorrow, but it's going to mean something in a couple of years. But like you can't just look at the economy and blink your eyes and then suddenly it's fixed.
Oh, right.
Like you have to actually put in a lot of work to fix it. So I think if Trump gets elected, we're going to have a massive crash. I will 100% vote for Donald Trump because any other option would be fucking retarded.
But isn't it going to crash anyways, even if he gets in office or not?
Yeah. But if it's going to crash, would you rather have somebody who can fix it, or would you rather have somebody who's like not just going to make it worse, but like take advantage of it getting worse and throw everyone under the bus and like sell us to the World Economic Forum? Would you rather have that person, or would you rather have a person who's like, all right, well, we're in a fucking situation. Let's go. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and fix it with everybody. I'd rather have that guy.
And that's what Trump's doing.
That's what Trump's going to do. He's making a lot of promises about how it's going to be the greatest thing. And
yeah.
And it'll be really great, but it's going to be really great in like 2029. It's not going to be great.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight and such, but
it's not even going to be really great probably in 2027. Like it's going to be really great in 2028, 29, 30, 31, somewhere in that neighborhood, because you can't just breathe in and not breathe out.
Facts.
You have to have positive and negative for the world to go around. You have to go through the cycles. So you have to, and you have to be born, and you have to live, and you have to die. And that's like, this is like everything works in that cycle. You can't escape that in this dimension of existence. Maybe you can escape it in the next dimension, but we have to die to find that out.
Yeah.
But like, you're not going to get around that.
Right.
You're not going to get around that. But what I would rather have on that ocean of chaos that we live in, right, which is the inevitability of those wave functions, like they're going to happen. What I would rather have on that ocean of chaos is a captain who's not a fucking sociopath, who doesn't lie and manipulate and put his own people in positions of power and hold and protect power, but someone who empowers others. Someone who gives power, someone who teaches, someone who's there with you, fighting next to you, but also raising and lifting you up. And that's, I mean, I wish to be that one day. I try, to be that as in my own, interactions, to try to be somewhat of an assist to people and help people to raise up and realize dreams, but like, all we can do is try to do that. If we have Donald Trump in office in 2025 and the global economy tanks and all those BRICS nations, for example, say all those BRICS nations take all of that, all that revenue away from the petrodollar, and they start trading in yuan and rubles and everything that's there on their side, and dinar and all those. So if they go take all that stuff over there, what's going to happen to the US dollar?
It loses value.
So shouldn't we have been on the fucking gold standard a while back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, when we get to that point, when we get to that breaking point, because it's pretty inevitable, like it's part of the evolution of the world too. Sure. It's almost like, the US created this really abundant era, and it wasn't just the US, but the US drove a lot of it, because we were kind of like, we kind of led everyone out of World War II into the new liberal world order and everything. And then everything's like, hoop, hoop, hurrah. All right. And that's part of the wave function in that fourth turning, right? that was actually, that's like the 1945 era, if I'm not mistaken, was like the first turning, right? So 46 through 68 or whatever it was like the first turning. And that's when everything was building up and everybody was like, gung ho, yeah, let's go build an entire world of, new airlines and like new international companies and weapons companies and all this kind of shit. And then in order to sustain that, they went through the second turning through like the 70s and the late 60s, and got into Vietnam, and they start, going into what was a really plush time for us on this side of the wave function. But it was a hard time for other people. It was a really hard time in Russia for a lot of people. It's a really hard time in a lot of places. In China, they were going through revolution. I mean, it's a tough time in a lot of places in the world, but it was a really good time for the US. And then that the 80s and 90s was kind of like where the demoralization started to happen, right? That's where everything started to kind of degrade and fall apart. And then in 2008, we had to crash. And then from 2008 until now, we've been in the fourth turning. We've been in the crisis turning. And it's not going to end until, they're about 20-year cycles. So it was 2008. So it'll go to about 2028 ish. It might be 2026 if we're super lucky. It might be 2030 if we're not so lucky. I mean, that's just a matter of perspective. If it's a hard time, I'm not worried about that. In fact, if you have some money saved up, and maybe it's in gold, or maybe it's in a digital currency that might still hold some value, right? Because Bitcoin is more of an international commodity, and it's not going to fall with the dollar. In fact, it's probably likely to boost if the dollar tanks. So like if you have some assets to be able to play with during those down times, if there was a Great Depression in 2025, 26, do you know how many fucking houses you're going to be like $500,000 houses, $1 million houses that you're going to be able to buy for pennies on the dollar? So this is an opportunity for people who are ready for it, and for people who understand that, hey, every year has a winter. Every night, every day has a nighttime. So, at some point you got to hunker down. You got to let the cold winds blow. You got to work hard. You got to make some sacrifices. Maybe eat some fucking, watermelon instead of tuna or whatever. Like you got to make some trade-offs for a little while and make those sacrifices and get through it. And then when you come through the other side, man, by the time you get through the other side, if you're smart, you're in a good spot. That's why Warren Buffett has so much money in cash right now.
Why?
Because he knows he's gonna be ready to buy a bunch of assets. It's kind of a white pill. If you look at it in the full spectrum, it's not a black pill. It's not like, oh shit, it's going to be a bad thing. It's going to be a good thing. And the difficult thing that, if you want Trump to go down in history as remembered as being a great president, stand next to him. Stand next to him and fight the good fight over the next 4 years when things go downhill. Hold him up as a guy who's there to create solutions, who's there fighting with us. He's not the one that caused it.
No, of course not. But then again, Joe Biden didn't cause these things either. Obama didn't.
He sure as fuck didn't help. No, he sure as fuck didn't help.
I see what
he
you're saying.
Poked
Trump.
The bear.
And
poked the bear.
I stand. Yeah, I stand behind Trump right now. But we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does. He says he's not gonna. He doesn't want any war. I hope he stays true to that. Right.
I don't have any reason to believe he wouldn't.
Right. And, we can just see if he's truly the man that we feel that he is, mm-hmm. and that he is fighting that good fight, but action is going to tell us a lot of things.
You think it was a fake bullet?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There's people. There's people
Yo,
out
I heard
saying
I heard a
crazy
stat. It was
stuff,
like
dude.
1/3 of Democrats thinks it was staged.
And that's all the people who are running around calling us conspiracy theorists
Right.
for like talking.
Oh, you
having
know,
conversations.
the mirroring principle is
Oh my
real and in
projection,
effect.
yeah.
In effect right now.
Yes.
It was everything. As soon as Joe Biden got so much, people started talking so much, especially when we saw him on the debate, and we can all see it. We all saw it for our own very eyes. The very next day, it's, you know, X is flooded with people talking about, oh, you know, well, Donald Trump 78. You know,
Did you
he
see
needs to have his mental clarity examined.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then everything, you know, it's like now.
Did you see Kill Tony?
No.
Did you see the Kill Tony with Adam Ray and Shane Gillis
No.
as Trump and Biden dressed up?
I didn't watch that, but
I watched like
I
the
see what you're
intro.
talking about.
I watched the intro of it. I watched like Casey Rocket's performance and then like a little bit of their exchanges and stuff. But and I'll probably go back and watch the rest. I just didn't get to the rest of it. But like Kill Tony sometimes is annoyingly like lefty. Can be, you know, Tony Hinchcliffe can be a little bit grating sometimes. But I just thought it was a massive relief. It made me feel like I was in the 90s again, when you would watch Saturday Night Live and they'd be making fun of the president, no matter who the fuck it was. Like they didn't care. They'd be making fun of Democrats, Republicans. They're just making fun of these people for being, you know, dickhead politicians, because that's all. They're just like a bunch of selfish users, you know? And I just thought it was really funny to be able to have Trump and Biden sitting next to each other at the table, and Biden looking like he's like, who just shit my pants? And Trump sitting there like, you know, Joe, you're stupid. You can't do anything right. You know,
that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it.
But man, I want to see what Trump's going to do. I started to raise questions in my mind because I want to see who he surrounds himself with.
Oh, so you're okay. Your question about JD Vance.
Yeah, I still have questions about him, right? You know, I don't know either way.
What's your concern though? Can you?
No, it's just like so. I mean, what do we know about JD Vance?
I don't know much.
He's a young guy, fresh into politics, things of that nature. Who does he run with? Who is his people?
He's a working class guy.
Right.
Like
he portrays himself, his perception. Like he gives a perception of such things. But you know, he's kind of close to a lot of people that gives me reason to be hesitant and weary. Slightly, right? Just to pay attention. I'm not thinking anything negative. I'm not going to get Peter Thiel.
So what's wrong with Peter Thiel?
Well, what do you feel about Peter Thiel? Have you heard of Peter? What's the word?
What do you feel about Elon Musk?
Right. This all kind of ties into each other.
I mean, Peter and Elon
and stuff like. I love Elon for yeah, of course, PayPal, all that, and later on ventures as well,
right,
and things like that. You know, you can, you know, I like to think that Elon Musk is doing good things, protecting the freedom of speech.
He's doing the
best
he can,
you know, Twitter and stuff like that.
He's helping.
Now there's
ship stay
conspiracy theories about that. You know, why did he buy Twitter or whatnot? But you know, if you see who these guys are affiliated with, you know, it would give you
speculation on character. This is all
no. It's not speculation on. I'm not talking about character whatsoever. I'm talking about who they surround themselves, who they are affiliated with. You're
speculating on those people who they affiliate themselves with, right?
Right.
You're like, well, so what? So what if they hang out with?
Well, so when we talk about politics, this definitely plays a role in it.
Well, it can, but I mean,
but it does. It does.
You just have to be careful with that.
Right. That's what I'm saying here. Because right. I'm not pushing. I'm not saying like, that anyone's a bad guy. I'm saying
they hang out with Steve Bannon.
Pay attention. Don't think, oh, JD Vance is a great guy standing up for the working class just because now Trump brought him on board. Trump
No, I'm saying JD
Why did
Vance,
Trump bring him on board?
I think Trump brought him on board because JD Vance has been a voice for the working class from the beginning. Now, do his actions like back that up? I don't know because
But
I'm not an
action.
I'm not an attorney, and I haven't gone through and read all of the congressional actions that he's done. I don't know, what he's done over the last 8 years since when he said, anti-Trump stuff or whatever.
We don't know much about him.
So I don't know exactly what he's done. What I feel like about JD Vance is that he's young. He's very young compared to a lot of the politicians in that, right? He's 39 years old. So 39 surrounded by a bunch of 50, 60, 70-year-olds, right? He's in a world of 50, 60, 70-year-olds, and he's just under 40. So he's a young guy. So I think that he's in a situation where he's going to have some decisions to make to really, this is going to be the time when he defines his legacy. Right. This is the time for him to step up and define his legacy.
And we'll see what he's about.
If he's over the last 10 years, since he's kind of like come up, and since he was, 29, 30, whenever he got into office, and even bringing himself out of the hillbilly elegy, right, and creating his success, is he a person who will say whatever he needs to say to get wherever he needs to get? Yeah. So fucking what? Does that, like, those type of virtues sometimes are such a trap to success. Like, you don't have to not associate with the snakes in order to like come through the other side as some sort of shining knight. You have to deal with fucking snakes, and you're going to have to you're going to have to bend to them at some point too, and you're going to have to give and take a little bit to get where you want to get. It's the concept of having to play the system from the inside. You can't just stand up there and go, fuck everybody, this is the only way, and stand. I mean, you're just like, no one's going to make it that way. No one's ever made it that way. Mahatma Gandhi didn't make it that way. Like, you have to play the politics to get where you want to get. And once you get there, this is the moment now for JD Vance. Now that he's there,
right?
What's he going to do?
What are you going to do?
What's he going to do?
What are you going to do? And we shall see. But
we'll see.
We got to pay attention to it.
I ain't paying attention to shit.
Okay. Well, then you can just live amongst all these zombies, bro.
I'm going to fucking zombie land. I'm just going to go wander around Walmart and like eat fucking Raisinets till I'm 600 pounds.
So I think Raisinets.
It's my next goal.
I think Raisinets suck. And if I got to 600 pounds from eating Raisinets, I'd probably kill myself. Because I just got to 600 pounds and I did it in a shitty way.
Yeah, my technique is the Raisinette.
Like I would.
It's the Raisinette technique.
Do you love Raisinets that much?
I don't.
I was about to say that was a terrible example.
No, I just thought about it because like I walked by a bin of them the other day when I was out.
And if you would have said ice cream or something like that, I would have been all aboard.
Well, what kind of ice cream though?
Whatever.
Durian ice cream.
No, I'm good on that.
Okay, heard.
I've never had it. I can't. Let's be honest here.
You gotta try it. We gotta get some durian.
Let's do it. I'll do it if it's an ice cream form.
It's usually like a smoothie. I like durian.
I like smoothies. It's ice creamish.
Durian and avocado as a smoothie is really good.
I like. Oh yeah, yeah. It's it gives you texture.
Yeah.
I love texture.
Texture and funk.
I'm okay without the funk so much, but texture. But hey, I like to get a little funky.
I like funk.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of like steak.
But there's hey man, just
like that too.
Just I want to know your thoughts. Look into that guy, man.
JD Vance.
Yeah, just see like, and I think we should just like we should look at these people. I want to.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a political pundit that I'm necessarily going to be. I mean, I like to talk about this stuff and I like to, wax philosophical about what's going on and everything, but I don't know how much time. I would rather devote the time to like reading John Maxwell books on leadership and like going to the gym and like building businesses and focusing on proactive stuff than going down someone's, fucking CIA file on all of their dossier of every fucking action that they've done. I'm not into going down those rabbit holes and like doing that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to go investigate people's backgrounds and figure out why they're corrupt. I just don't see the point. For me, I would rather grow people. I would rather focus on like building positive inspiration, building mechanisms and like media, like building more content like this to be able to inspire more people, to be able to grow stuff in a proactive, positive way. Because I think that's why I like Trump, because he wants to bring manufacturing back to US. He wants to tax people who are just importing stuff. He wants to bring accountability back. He wants to actually have the tough conversations, right? And like that's so much more valuable to me than trying to figure out why somebody's done the wrong thing somewhere. I don't really give a shit. They can run around in the dark and do all their CIA tactics, and they can fucking do all their little man on the grassy knoll, and they can, they can go assassinate JFK and Malcolm X and MLK and all of them. But the darkness is never going to win. Why? Because the light is always producing more light.
Always.
Yeah. So that's what I would prefer to focus on, producing more light.
Yeah. But, so basically what I'm coming from, right? And I'm talking about, hey, when somebody surrounds himself with certain people, you want to look at those people, because unless you are 100% sure factually,
I'm going to delegate that.
The people are who you think they are, right?
Yeah.
So unless you can be
they'll show
without
you.
a doubt. Yeah, exactly.
They'll
right. And that's all I'm saying is we're seeing and stuff like that. But, you want to be ready to receive and interpret this information when it comes to light, right?
Yeah.
When these actions happen, you want to be like, oh, so that because their actions are going to be painted in a different light, right? Their actions, even if it's nefarious or even if it is, has some, bad intent to it, they're going to make it look like it's for the better good. So in order to be able to decipher all this is going to have a lot to do with your inner self. And it's also going to have a lot to do with the information that you have, so you can see it in a better light, so to say, right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, hey, JD's corrupt. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm saying who is this guy?
Yeah,
who is this guy? Right?
You want
and
to
I feel like I support Donald Trump all the way. Right? I'm a big supporter of Donald Trump right now. Right? Yeah. But I'm not going to go all in on somebody. Right? Because especially when I have something inside me tells me, hey, just pay attention to some shit.
You know who you sound like?
Look at some shit.
Please tell me something good. You sound like me 6 months ago when you were talking about Vivek. Remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, have you looked into that guy?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Background? What's going on?
I did.
He sounds great. Everything looks good.
I did.
What happened with Vivek?
What do you mean?
He's fucking dope, right?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's proven himself to be.
Yeah. So far, yeah. He's
although like so far also it is all just talk, right?
But also too, what piqued my interest on Vivek, and also what piques my interest towards Donald Trump, is all going back to what we were talking about kind of at the beginning of all this, was the whole art of politicking and just politics in itself, right? There was something different. It's a breath of fresh air. They're not career politicians. They might appear to be because they're intelligent individuals, and they can play the game. You have to play the game, right? It's the game that it is. So you can't go and play a basketball game
with your
when
foot.
You're ready to play golf.
You can't.
You know what I mean?
Foot.
Yeah, you can't bring your golf clubs to the basketball court.
No,
or a basketball to the golf course.
Correct.
Right. So you got to play the game. That's the way you're going to win.
And they're playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the difference between, that's what I liked about Trump. That's what I liked about Vivek. But JD Vance is not that.
Is not what?
He's a career politician. Now,
is he?
Now, I mean, he's a senator.
Yeah.
So
how long is his
he's
career,
a politician. Though? He's in a but nevertheless,
it took him.
He is.
Yeah, he just got there.
However, he is.
He is.
He was like, "This is what I'm gonna do in my life."
So, what were the other choices?
What do you mean
for VP?
So
other than Vivek, because Vivek is
okay.
Vivek's a non sequitur because Vivek would never work.
I mean, what was it? Was it the odds that do we really know who was the finalist to be VP Trump? I mean, we know what the media was telling us. We know what we were being told. Those were his finalists.
Right.
I mean, who was it? It was going to be JD Vance,
Doug Burgum.
It was going to be Burgum. It was going to be the other.
Tulsi was talked about.
Tulsi was one, stuff like that.
Tulsi's
but then you could have had
Burgum is much more of a career politician.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Definitely.
Who are the rest of them? Look at all the rest of them and tell me which one was the least of a career politician. Other than Vivek.
Was Tucker Carlson an option?
I don't think Tucker was ever.
That was an idea.
I think Tucker,
he never agreed. But maybe he just didn't want to do shit. But maybe that was an option.
No, I
think
Tucker Carlson is. I think Tucker Carlson is a counterintelligence tool. I think that he's a very good counter-revolutionary in the intelligence world. I think he's very good at countering all of the misinformation and disinformation, psychological operations. He's very good at knocking all that stuff down. He's like the dome missile defense system for information, right? And that's what people like him, like Tim Pool, like PBD, all these guys are out there that are knocking down all of the misinformation and disinformation because they're defending us in a psychological G5 war.
Yeah.
Right.
And those are actions. Those are actions that I like to see.
Yeah.
Right.
I think if Tucker were given something like maybe press secretary or something,
definitely. There's a place for him, but I don't come up with some other ideas.
I don't think even as press secretary, like I think Tucker would be better in an
he's not a good press secretary.
He'd be better in an advisory role than he would be in a public speaking role, where he's going to actually have to, because they're going to trap him with emotion. They're going to fuck with him to be able to get him in. And he's also going to have to lie. Like you have to lie. At some point you have to run interference. You're going to have to bend the truth a little bit here and there to be able to accomplish the goals, right? Which is what I was saying about all of
playing the game.
Play the game. And if you play the game the right way with the right intentions and, you just kind of like touch on those, crossovers as just as barely needed. I don't know that Tucker's going to be the guy to do that, especially at the place he is in life right now. I think he's in a really truthful place in life. He's in a very open and vulnerable place in life. So I think that he's perfect where he's at.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be right where he's at. If you move Tucker, it's like moving Ron DeSantis. I don't think DeSantis I don't think DeSantis was ever a serious contender.
Right.
And I think that his run for presidency was a tactic to pull him out of the question early on. He's not going to be president. He's not going to be VP. He's going to be pulled out of the situation early on. Tactically, they're going to go strategically. They're going to go, hey, let's do this poorly run campaign and make you look like a jackass so that you can stay in Florida and run Florida for another, how much does he have left? 2-3 years?
Yeah, something like that.
But he can stay there for another couple of years and then, maybe be able to find or build or promote the next guy that can take over, guy or girl that can take over for that position. But at least he's in there for the first few years, because I don't think any of them are stupid either. I think they know the crisis is going to hit. They know, they're like, you have to know, like if you're paying attention to the rhythm of things at all.
Yeah.
Like COVID wasn't it. And COVID should have been way worse than it actually panned out to be. It was like a practice run. the actual run, whatever it is, the avian bird flu, the World War III, the North Korea blasting off a bunch of fucking nukes, who knows?
Iran's coming into the picture again.
Iran coming into the picture, like,
which is basically the Middle East. The Middle East, we always have. For some reason, we always want to continue. We always want to continue conflict with the Middle East, man. We just go right back to them. I guess maybe because of the oil or some shit. Or maybe their ideology over there. I'm not sure, but
they're always easy to fuck with.
Are they?
They're easy to get to start a fight.
Yeah.
It's easy to go over there and start a fight with them.
Yeah, they're ready.
All you have to do is go over there and talk some shit about their.
You just gotta be like LGBTQ, bitch.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, "What'd you say to me?" I'm like, "Yep,
like,
you heard me.
You're gay. Your dad.
I was like, "Your mom's gay, bitch.
Your dad's gay. You're fucking. Your mullah. Your imam. He's fucking gay." And then then.
But you know what? You can't okay. So Middle Easterns, man. They can't be underestimated, right? Because these guys, when we were talking about beliefs, and shit like that, these people have belief like you would never see. There's no level of believing in something so much that can rival the beliefs that these Middle Eastern people do, bro. They're ready to die for their shit. They're ready to sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice for their shit without question, right? And that takes a certain type of will.
Christians need some more of that.
These guys, they're something different.
That's probably all I'm saying. I would imagine
they're very dangerous.
In the next little turning here that we see, like, it's probably what we're going to see, because in the Judeo-Islamic Christian tradition, the only one who still has tolerance is the Christians.
Yeah,
right? The Jews.
That's turned out to be a weakness.
It is. Yeah, the Jews went to Zionism. They went to the extreme faction. Yeah, and then the Muslims went to the Islamists, right, which are the extremist factions. So I think what you're going to see is you're probably going to see a rise of that Christian nationalism, and you're going to start to see groups. So there's that one that's the Patriot Front, right?
Yeah.
That everyone says is a Fed psyop or whatever. Did you see the interview with the guy?
Yep.
Do you think they were Fed?
It's a possibility.
I think there's probably a couple Feds embedded in that organization, but I don't think that they are they're not like a Governor Whitmer plot. They're not. That guy is not a Fed. That guy is not a Fed.
Well,
that guy's not in there.
But you don't have to be a Fed.
Now, he might be an asset.
Yeah,
he's an asset.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's a very different thing, because an asset like that can also get out of control, right? An intelligence asset like that that's running a big organization, maybe they're just running the line out on him, and they almost go with it.
They almost seem like a joke, though, right? You saw their altercation with the Proud Boys, was it?
Yeah, be careful with that, though.
What?
Seeming like a joke.
Yeah,
you never underestimate the opponent.
Yeah. The only reason I'm saying is like, I see. They're on this. They're jumping on the scene, right? And they seem to carry themselves with purpose, and with some type of level of power, I want to say, right? Mm-hmm. However, when that was attacked a little bit, I didn't see any fight in them, right?
They didn't fight back, no,
not at all. And as a matter of fact, they were like tormented a little bit and just kept walking on their way, like they didn't want to have anything to do with an altercation,
right?
So when I just see that, right, you can see it and you can be like, okay, this is a group of people that just, really aren't that aligned and strong together, or they are what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
They're just, and
Well, I think
they're fake.
I think they're. I don't think they're fake for sure. I think they're a bunch of people who are grouped together.
And well, when I mean fake, I mean not being what they're really saying they are, and being
right.
a FBI
They're not
psyop.
they're
of
not the
sorts.
Proud Boys.
Okay.
Right. They're not the Proud Boys.
Well, clearly,
Yeah. Or any of those other Fed groups. Right. Because that's the what I see the Proud Boys as is the Proud Boys are the they're the coin flip of Antifa, right? They're both um they're both they're not necessarily government sponsored, but they're buddies. They're the brown shirts and the black shirts, right? One of them is Mussolini's black shirts, and one of them is the brown shirts in Germany that were the I think those were the anti-fascist groups, right? That were that were um, intimidating people and not letting them speak out, and that's who those people are. They're just the extremist groups that are either driving up the momentum or they're stopping um, the forces that assuage the momentum, right? That assuage the extremism. They want to stop neutrality and they want to push extremism. Both of those. um, so the Patriot Front guys, I think, fall into the same kind of category. And I don't think that they are, I think they're an organically occurring group of people who have a specific type of worldview that's very white centric, obviously, right? And so that can just be looked at as an asset that's there to be used whenever it's needed.
Right.
So whenever they need to, then those FBI plants that are in there, they can drum up whatever they want to drum up.
Right.
Yeah. And if they never do that, there's still the potential for that same extremist sentiment to occur naturally within that group. Yeah. Right? It's still that potential energy is still there. If an FBI agent or whoever, somebody goes in and instigates it and actually activates that group, that's one thing. If it just happens naturally, it's the same thing. It's just coming from a different source, right. So I don't think they're like the Governor Whitmer plot was conniving. That was just evil. Like that was almost all FBI. It was like 15 guys and like 10 of them or 12 of them were FBI. It was like they just took like 3, 4, 5 guys and they're like, hey, let's go kidnap the governor. We'll drive. Here's the plan. Here's this. Here's that. Like they're just completely entrapment. That was just like awful. Those are just awful people. But I don't think the whole thing is necessarily. I don't think the whole thing is like that. I think that maybe what's left of it now is getting to be like that. But like those agencies, there's probably not a lot of good people left in them because they all, can't take it anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that the agency itself is bad. It's like that's like having a crime family take over, an orphanage and turn it into a whorehouse. Right? Like you can also take that house, kick out all the prostitutes and turn it back into an orphanage, right? To kick out all the prostitutes, go get a bunch of nuns and put them in there and like take care of some kids and do the right thing. So you can actually take the FBI, get all the shitheads out of there, and then actually put good people back in there. But this is what a lot of people are worried about JD Vance with, because JD wants to keep some of that deep state mechanism in there with that exact line of reasoning. He doesn't want to totally eradicate. He's not the Afuera guy. He's not going to go in there and Javier Milei the entire fucking government, which is what Vivek wants to do, which is what a lot of us, I think, want to do. But he has a point in that can just be reactionary. That might just be reactionary. And you don't always want to just react. You want to be proactive.
Reacting is we've been reacting to it, but I mean, no, he was. So Vivek talks about, it's past a point of repair, right? So yeah, there's good people in there doing good, honest work and stuff like that, but the entity itself is corrupt.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that the entity itself is just a bunch of letters,
right? And when
the people are what's corrupt.
yeah, but when you take people out and you put people in, it's who are you putting in there?
Non-corrupt people.
Now, but so I mean, whomever it was that.
Do you think that?
Okay, so whomever it was that corrupted the FBI, right?
Was it corrupt from its inception? Was it always?
But that's what we're talking about, right? Then you just say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you will. But when you're saying that, it's basically not the FBI is the problem; it's the corrupt people that's in it,
right?
Right. So with so I can only assume that you're kind of implying that it was not set up, corrupt, and just corrupt people took it over.
Yeah.
Right. So, with that being said, it's like, you can either cancel this thing out, but still have the purpose that the FBI does. Right. But it's not good. It's not good. The entity is now gone, because if the entity is still there, right, then apparently that entity was able to be corrupted.
Yeah. So, but what is it? What do you think? Like, okay, so what I think is corrupting the organizations like that is the proximity to other branches of governance, right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation needs to be independent from the congressional investigative committees, the executive branch. It needs to
so then have to be what, a private company,
independent from the judicial branch. No, this is the difficult thing, because we're all people and we all talk to each other and some of us know each other, but you don't want to have nepotism between, a judicial branch,
right,
and the investigative branch of a law execution. So like, then you're going to have people corrupt together who are just going to say, I don't like this person, so we're just going to team up and we're going to, right, what they're doing to Trump right now is exactly that. So in order to avoid that, what do you have to do? You have to have some sort of separation of powers. You have to have some sort of separation of the organization. And I'm not studied enough to be able to go into the minutia of like how that organization's set up.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe Vivek is right that we need to tear it completely down and then create a different organization.
Yeah, but see, well, like,
set up a different
Vivek made a lot of sense, because he pointed out the problem, but then offered a solution to every single one of them.
So what was the solution?
And they sounded good. You would just do away with the FBI. So you have federal investigators.
So who's going to investigate serial killers?
I mean, you have other, like, why do we need? Okay, so why do we need all of these different types of policing agencies and such?
How are you going to get rid of all the immigrants?
So there you go. Well, you have a military, right? You also have U.S. Marshals.
The military,
right?
is only the military is only
to defend the country,
defense of the nation.
which is defending the country from an invasion of illegals. So it's defending the country.
That's
nevertheless.
I don't know. That's a tough.
Well, no. Well, so what we talk, we all agree this is an invasion that we're on right now, right?
How do you tell who's who?
Because you vet people, right? You allow people in that you want to allow. You just allow everybody in. When everybody is just, and it's not even like a system anymore, right? It's just people rushing the border and shit like that. That's definitely not the way you go about it, But in a way, that's what the border is, right? It's to protect your country.
It's a filter, yeah.
Exactly. So there again, that's why Vivek was always saying, Biden wanted, Congress wanted to pass the bill and call it the border bill to protect the border. And it was like,
right.
You don't need a bill to protect the border.
But we're on a different topic. We were talking about the Federal Bureau of Investigation and why it needs to be.
But that led us to what we're talking about right now.
How so? What does that have to do with anything?
Because you just said I'm saying we don't need the FBI as an entity. And you were saying we do. And then I was saying then you asked me how we're going to protect the border. And I said the military.
No.
You said the military is defending the country. And I'm saying that's what we're doing.
I did not say.
But that's how that conversation went.
I did not say the border. I didn't say anything about
you were like,
I said, how are we going to remove
no, you did
the
not.
illegals?
No, you did not.
Yeah.
That is not. Play it. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's get to the bottom of it right now.
We got to stop recording and go back and play. You can't just rewind it.